Hey y'all. This video might be long. You probably want to fast forward and come watch it later. This has to do with healing ancestral trauma. You guys saw me post yesterday when I was talking about my grandfather and how he was able to outlive these people. My parents, his children, like that. That's crazy. It's just not normal. And so that just kept, the ancestors pressed it up on my mind. It kept pressing on my mind. And Freemason popped in my head. It's like, remember your mom said he was a Freemason. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? You need to go see what Freemasons do. And when this was going on, when Freemasons popped in my head, I remembered that dream I had about him before I left the States. I remember having a dream of him. We was in this old house. It was this old two-story house that we were staying in. It was I and my siblings and my grandpa, which was weird because I've never dreamed of my grandpa before. And we was at this house, and my grandpa he's a retired railroad worker, and so we were at the house and we had to go check the mailbox. Back in those houses in a rural area, it seemed like it was in a rural area down a rock road. And so we had to go up the rock road to check the mailbox. And when I got to go check the mailbox, it was like this black mud jello thing that wouldn't let me check the mailbox. It kept trying to take some sort of form. Every time I tried to check the mailbox, it was just laying there in front of the mailbox. And so I was scared. I ran back to the house. And then he came in the house and I said, Grandpa, I can't check that mailbox because it's some type of thing down there that's not letting me check the mailbox. It was the weirdest dream. I didn't understand that dream. I still remember it though. There's something about something about these dreams that some of them be prophetic, but then I don't know what they mean. I was like, what does that dream mean? So I get up out the dream. I was like, oh my gosh, it's starting to make sense now. So not only am I looking at generational trauma through chattel slavery, I'm also looking at generational trauma from when these men was in these churches, with all this patriarchal structure, and they went into Freemason. And a lot of them wrote over their families to these entities. And when I didn't even know this was a thing. See how the ancestors work? I didn't know this was a thing, so I dived deeper on the subject. I was like, is this really a thing? Can this impact generations? And honey, I started looking at the activity, the symptoms of these curses. And I promise you, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, this is it. Now, I remember my mom saying something about this thing that he had sold us out to, but she couldn't really put it into details, when she was telling me about it. And so I just never gave it much attention because it was nothing tangible for me to really see. Then I had my cousin. That's something today. Uh, we were talking about, how strange it is because it's like 3 or 4 of the grandchildren. We know there's something odd and strange going on. It's not normal. And we were talking about it, and she said, I seen it too in a dream, Penny. I saw where he gave us to that thing. I was like, oh my God. I said, she repeated like the same thing my mom said. So it's like 3 or 4 of us that had some type of premonition or some type of insight to what's deeper going on in our family. I'm still floored by it. I'm still floored, but now it makes so much sense. So now I have to get in here and start doing some consistent prayer work because of that. And I think what really jumped out at me, like I was telling y'all the other day, when I was looking at his picture, he was standing next to my aunt and her children. She just passed away. And the look that look, that ominous look he had on his face, I was just like, something is so eerie about that. I don't know. I got that, like, that skeleton key vibe from him, for a lack of a better way to describe how I feel. But I just got that from him. I said, what in the world, you know? But this man has actually did. I didn't even know this was a thing. So if you're doing any type of ancestral work, and go look up Freemasonry, because a lot of these men, they sacrifice their wives and children. I, I have no words, you guys.